seeing, are we fighting or fleeing? Got a mind.
Hey, the stress divides me.
The stress divides me.
Wanna mind the gap, hey.
Wanna mind the gap, hey.
So why don't you help me?
We got stress conditioned by tradition. Welcome everyone to Behavioral Sciences podcast and YouTube presentation called Minding the Gap. I'm Paul Bakke, licensed counselor with Behavioral Sciences, alongside Dr. David Barnhart. Dr. Barnhart, how are you today? You ready to talk a little bit about sports parenting?
I am ready to talk about sports parenting. And
All
Paul, I noticed that you have a tan on your face, and
I
it
do.
is completely the opposite of the tan on my face. But you've been watching some sports.
I have been. I've been watching a lot of baseball on the weekends. My son is a college pitcher. So I've been out in the sun plenty, and I've experienced the sports parenting at a college level. I've experienced at a little league level. I've experienced at a high school level, and so I'm a walking example of sometimes what not to do as a parent, and sometimes what's helpful and best, and it's difficult. And it starts with really any kind of parenting idea, which is, we want the best for our kids. We want to be successful. We want to do well in school. We want to do well in sports, because we want them to have a positive experience in life. We want to learn all the lessons. We want them to learn all the lessons that go along with that. We want them to experience joy of winning and trophies and championships and good memories and all those kinds of things. So we really can't separate our desires and our emotions for our kids. We just can't separate that. When some other child has a hard time, then we feel bad for them and we want them to do well and all that stuff, but it doesn't get to our hearts like it does to our kids. So it sometimes influences us to over respond in situations in sports, in another kind of performance related areas. So kind of walking into it knowing that this is going to be difficult to stay focused on what helps, and it's difficult to stay focused on the values that we're trying to teach in sports when they're not getting to play, they're not doing well. You're coaching their team and they're not really interested and not responding to your coaching. It's difficult because we want things for them that sometimes they don't understand, or maybe they don't want at the time. So I guess the first part of that is it's just difficult to be a parent in sports when there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of competition, the kids are better and more talented. It's difficult to achieve at a high level because there's a lot of competition. The idea of keeping up with the Joneses, you want your kid to be as good as the other kid, and it goes on and on. It's difficult.
Yes, and you have experienced sports as a college athlete and as a college coach, and you've coached many, many, many kids.
Yeah.
In baseball, softball, all kinds of techniques.
So I've got a unique experience, and so I've learned for me that playing the sport, it's hard to appreciate the value of team and hard work and just an activity that you're trying to get good at, and dealing with adversity and all those kinds of things. It's hard to really understand the value of that while you're playing. You get more a sense of it as you're coaching it. And then even more of a sense of it as a parent, sometimes, to be able to go, I know this is going to be over soon. I had to call it quits. It's really difficult. I wish I'd have enjoyed it more. I wish I'd have done this, that, valued the experience a little more, not been so upset if I didn't play or do well. and so I do have a unique experience, but even having that experience and really understanding the values completely rationally in my mind, just completely understanding, even now my son he's playing regularly. He's getting a pitch just about every game. I mean, he's a closer for the team. He's having a lot of success. He's trusted by his coach, and it's in terms of playing time and ability to him being an active contributor, really couldn't be any better. And being able to value that from, being a freshman and not really getting to play very much and sort of working into that, you just, wow, it's really nice that he's able to play.
Mm-hmm.
But still, when he's throwing, when he's out there, my heart's in my throat. It's hard to enjoy it because I really want him to be successful. And it's like torture sometimes, just wanting him to be successful. So even though I know I've got the unique experience of playing, coaching, being a parent and
a therapist.
And a therapist.
Teaching people how to regulate their emotions.
Even all that, it is so difficult to deal with the stress that's happening when he's he's out there. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's in his element. Even when he's not done well and things have not gone well. You just go, I wish this had happened. Oh, if the fence had been, 5 feet longer, it'd have been an out, whatever it is, all the stuff. You just go back and it's hard because you want it to go well, just want it to go well. And even like now, right, he's there because of COVID, they're normally the conference tournament is 8 teams. So 8 out of 11 teams would go. And this year only 4 because of COVID, because of the travel and money issues and things like that. So it's like, in years past, it's like they're pretty good. They're probably going to be top 8. You're not really now they're in first place, but it's still jammed up, and they're still top 4 is difficult. So it's like I just want to experience the tournament. I just want to just be able to go. And God, it's in Jackson, Tennessee. My parents are close, my family's close. Oh, it's just please let this happen. So it's every game is so important, in the conference. So it's knowing all the things of therapists, all the experience. It is so hard to keep a good perspective, even when things are going well. And okay, the next game, I'm thinking about it at night as I go to sleep. and the whole time he's fine. He's out there focusing on the next pitch. He gives up a hit or something. He's fine. Gives up a couple of runs. He's still battling away. It's so that's really kind of the start of it. It's very difficult. And so let's get into a little bit of about what we can do that's not helpful.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
Part of what I'm thinking about as you're describing that is he's fine because he's in control.
Yeah, he is in control.
All this stuff as parents do. They typically know more than their children, although sometimes they don't know more about the sport. But you're not in control. So.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So talk about how would you coach parents to manage their own emotion? What would be some? We know it's more than just thinking or changing our minds. What would it be that they could do to help them have a perspective that is helpful?
Okay. Well, the first part of that is really kind of identifying the values that are happening in whatever the activity is. If the highest value is always success and winning, that's the top thing, then you're setting yourself up for a lot of failure and a lot of stress and a lot of difficulty and a lot of really not enjoying the sport. I'm a very competitive person. When I play a sport, I want to win. It doesn't matter if I'm playing a board game against my wife. It doesn't matter if I'm playing, anything that you're keeping score. I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's not a negative value. It's not like, whoa, winning is, that's the goal. You're trying to do what it takes to win the game. And that's okay. But when you only value that, when that becomes the success, is the only value, it's really important to go, what are the other ones? Like I said a minute ago, teamwork, what's he learning from this? Dealing with adversity, focusing on what he can control, having a good attitude in times of difficulty, being open to coaching, hard work, and all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about those values regularly, keeping those in your mind, talking to your spouse about them before games. We talked, this year, COVID cut short last year, so we were like, and they're playing, they're actually playing games,
Yes.
Enjoying what the good things that are happening. If they do play, if they do have success, focusing on that's really great. It's a memory that can never be taken away from us. We talk about that forever. And so focusing on things that are our values, that are important regularly, because what will happen is the winning part, because it is important, the success part, because it is something that we want and that's they're achieving, we're going to achieve. When it doesn't happen, where there's this threat of it not happening, that's when we forget about all the other values. And it's important to go, oops, there I go again. Back to, he's out there battling, he's on a team where he's learning things, he's making friends, those kinds of things that are a big part of the experience that later, that I know as having played and still being able to kind of talk to old teammates and reminisce about memories. And I remember that time, that value is there for good. And that's the value that we need to kind of go back to when we stray away, because we will stray away.
Mm-hmm.
It's very natural. I admire any parent that is able to sit and watch their kid play and not worry at all and go, oh, it's the game, I'm enjoying it. I don't know how anybody can do that. I can't, but I go, there I go. Let me go back to, it's okay. He's, glad he's playing, glad he's in this situation. Okay.
So being able to be triggered by the stresses.
Yeah. Triggered by and prepare for them beforehand.
Yes. This is like what we do in therapy, isn't it?
Right. That's right. Right. It's when you're triggered by something that gets you angry or anxious, or at work or at school or any kind of difficulty, it's prepare for that as much as you can and accept it as much as you can on the front end. Accept it, meaning it's a possibility. It may happen. And if it does happen, I can't do anything about it. It doesn't mean I like it or I want it to be that way or agree with it or whatever it is. Being able to accept it on the front end gives you a chance to respond in the moment a lot better. The same way that we would expect players to prepare for games. You don't just show up to the game and hope everything goes well.
Right.
I know as much as I can know that my son would not be having the success that he's having if he hadn't worked really hard and done a lot of practicing. He does that. He does that. I mean, he eats right. He's works hard. He understands what it takes to be successful, and so he's earned that. So if we're gonna, if that helps athletes be successful, at some point in an athletic career, you're going to deal with people that are just as good as you are or better.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your preparation has to be there, right? So that's
Right.
the deciding factor. So the same thing with dealing with stressors and dealing with as a parent is preparing for that in your mind, talking about it, and focusing on those perspectives is important because it gives you a chance to respond, and you want to enjoy the games. You want to be able to go to the games and enjoy them.
So when we do this imaginal responding to triggers, we're essentially practicing for the real event.
That's right. That's right. We're working on accepting what happens before it does. And not only that, but focusing on the values that those kinds of things, the teamwork, dealing with adversity, dealing with stress, dealing with pressure. Those are happening. The outcome of the game is not going to determine those things. Your child is getting that experience. And so we might as well focus on how good that is and how happy we are that that's helping them develop. And that whatever the result is, we can help them navigate success. We can help them deal with success, and respond to that. And we can help them respond to failure.
Sure.
And either way, it's a great life lesson, and it's something that can help their development. But if the only thing that we're focused on is their success and winning, then that's typically going to lead to a lot of anger, a lot more anxiety, and sometimes, especially when you're dealing with small kids that are learning the game.
Wow.
I don't want to play.
Right.
This is too stressful.
Right.
I can feel mom and dad's anxiety. They're not going to say this, but it's a feeling that says, why didn't swing the bat? When you're watching your kid play and he takes 3 strikes, your kid hears that in the stands. They're like, it's not, it's not fun. That thing gonna help me.
No, it's not helpful.
If I thought it was a strike, I would have swung. I just didn't think it was, so it's like, throw strikes, throw strikes,
How many times have we had kids tell us, so I really don't look forward to after the game because Dad is talking to me about the way it went and what I should have done
wrong. Yeah,
all the
everything I
way
did
home.
wrong. Yeah, everything I did wrong. So it's like, so kids don't show up to the park and then decide, I'm just going to mess everything up. I'm just going to mess it up. I could do it. I could throw strikes if I wanted to, but I'm just going to piss my dad off or my coach off, Maybe they get to a point where they're like, okay, but that's later. That's not typical, right?
It could happen, but that's not usually
right. So, but, and it's the same thing with, what I'm watching my favorite football team or basketball or baseball team on TV, and they do something I didn't like because it's not going to help my team win. I'm going to yell at the TV. That's not going to help the TV. I know that. I know they're not listening. But it's about me and getting that out because it's stressful, right? So when as a parent, when you're saying throw strikes, swing the bat, come on, that's about the parent's anxiety.
Right.
And that's the thing that we got to really work on avoiding, because when we make it about us as adults, it's not about us. No. That the focus becomes, what's my dad going to think? What's my coach going to say? And then they can't focus on the game and enjoy the game, and their chances of success are worse.
And there's plenty of evidence of that. I did a little personal study once of what happens when coaches are positive with kids and when they're negative. And I did a frequency count on the positive and the negative, And the kids that performed the best and had the most fun were the kids that had the positive coach, you know, that was encouraging their effort and not upset when
Right.
they made
Right.
mistakes.
Because the distraction, it's, you think about what a parent or a coach is doing when they yell out something.
Mm-hmm.
Their purpose is to help them do whatever they need to do next. That's the purpose of it.
Mm-hmm.
But what it becomes is a focus on the adults' anger and their frustration, and then whatever just happened that was bad. The focus is not really on what's next.
Yes.
It's about what just happened, and that's a distraction to the performance of the next thing. Because it's, as we know, it's what just happened isn't over. You're gonna have you need to be ready for your next at bat, the next pitch, and just observing the coach. My son's coach is the head coach. Is very laid back. He's a smart guy, and he will go out to the mound in a situation that's very difficult. Typically in baseball, when the head coach comes out to the mound, you're coming out. Pitching coach comes out and kind of gets strategy, and and it's calmed down a little bit. And then when the head coach comes out, not to take the guy out, he's wanting to make sure that the pitcher is hearing from him what the strategy is, what the plan is, so forth. It's unusual, right? So what he does, and I think it's really a great strategy, is he goes out and I asked John, what does he say? Of course, what did he say to you? And he said, don't worry about that 4-pitch walk. He said, just execute your next pitch. You got it. So the focus is on the next thing. That's the next thing. If you say, whatever you do, don't throw inside to this guy, then all they're thinking about is throwing inside. Don't throw in, throwing,
it's going to go inside.
Why'd you throw inside? I told you not to. So it's kind of the same thing we talk about with parents, is don't focus on what what do you want them to do? Right. So I think that is a great, because that focus, it's not on my coach is mad at me. It's not about, oh my gosh, I've got to make him happy. It's about confidence, and I believe in you, and do this. You got it. Focus on the next thing, and I think that is a fantastic strategy, because not because, oh, these kids nowadays can't handle being yelled at and they're not as tough and all that. Not because of that, because that never helped anyway.
Never.
It never helped. It never helped. When I got yelled at as a kid and coach and stuff like that, what I did was I just learned to tune it out. I just learned not to listen to that. And so we want to take that away from kids to make them, you have to have so much skill at tuning out bad coaching that, that let's be better at coaching parenting, instead of putting it on our kids to be, because some kids, they lose interest and they don't even have a chance to get to the point where they're enjoying it. So the thing is, focus on what the next thing is. Calm. They're already upset. They're already amped up. If we can be calm and give instruction, they're going to listen to us, and they're more likely to succeed and do what we're asking them to do or want them to do, and enjoy it in the process. But it means that as the coach, as the parent, as the whatever it is connected to it, we have to recognize our own anxiety and stress about it. And just like with a child, you wouldn't want to be yelling and screaming, and because then they go, oh, I got him upset. You're calm and you say, this is what I want you to do, even though you're not really inside. and then you go in your room and you tear your hair out away from him, because showing that in front of the child is only going to distract them from what it is you want them to do.
Well, I've torn a lot of my hair out, but but I like what you said. Let's go back a little bit, because so we're really talking about coaching ourselves too.
Right.
And I want to talk about priming just before we get out of here, because when you were talking about, well, what are the values, and you said talk to your spouse about it. So you're having a conversation about what is it that we're doing here, and what's the outcome we're looking for. So we're really talking to ourselves, we're coaching ourselves about how to think. And if you do this before you go to a game, you prime yourself. So there's a lot of evidence in social psychology and neuroscience that if we are primed, we're more likely to follow the goal-directed behavior. So that self-talk that you're addressing there, that is just a big deal. That makes all the difference.
It's a big deal. And another thing that I'm thinking about is in my own experience, and I'm right in the middle of this. So, I'm right in the middle of, I really want my son to have a good rest of the season. I want to be able to go to the tournament, all that kind of stuff. So I'm in danger of losing perspective every time I walk to the stadium and go and think about it. Okay. So for me, it's a matter of kind of, oh, there I go again, back to priming. Right. And part of priming for me is going back to when he was a freshman in high school. So tell the story. So first part of it is he played at a high school that's really good. I mean, it's, if you make the team, you're a good player, so, and not all good players make it. So, so he was a pretty good player, but, not always at the top, and he was not a guarantee to make it. And he was one of the last to make it. All right. And so we're thinking in our minds as parents, man, we just really want him to make the team, because if he makes the team, he's going to be a part of something special if he chooses to stay with it, regardless of how much he plays or not. We just want him to have that experience, and it'd be great. So he makes the team. We were just overjoyed. He made the team. So our perspective is perfect. We made the team. We're going to be parents of go to the games and watch the team, and it's going to be fun. We meet all kinds of different people, and it's going to be great. So he comes home and he says, I think I'm going to be on JV. He's not going to be on the 9th grade team. He's freshman. He's going to be a JV. Like, what? No, yeah, you're not. It's completely exceeding my expectations. So it turns out they just didn't have a whole lot of pitching on JV that year. He was one of the top freshmen. He's going to be a JV pitcher. Okay, well, that's perspective. Wow, what a bonus!
You get to practice, you get to play.
for the JV team, you're moving up way beyond expectation. Make the team. Okay, he gets in his first game, strikes the first guy out. Man, he might be pretty good. I mean, he might be pretty decent. Next guy, swinging bunt. Next guy walks on full count. Guy fouls off several pitches. Next guy gets a bleeding hit between first and second. They score a run. He gets taken out. My first thought, it's just over. They're going to give up on it. It's over. His high school career is over. It's done. Of course, that was my fear, was that, oh my gosh, he had his chance. I thought he was right. So I went right back to success, playing time, being all this is the most important thing. And I had to, kind of work on that worry and all that. So a day or so goes by, and it's a few days, and his buddy, who's same kind of pitcher as him, comes in, pitches a gem, just shut out, great game. And he was in the bullpen, going to come in if he got in trouble, but he didn't finish the game. So the whole time I'm just thinking about all this. He hadn't pitched since then. I'm still kind of wondering when he's going to be. I want him to have success, all this. He's talking to his grandmother on the phone, and it was on speaker and I could hear him. And she said, well, were you upset that you didn't get to come in and pitch when during the game today, when the other pitcher pitched so well, and he goes, he goes, he goes, just like this. He goes, no. He said, Jack pitched a great game and our team won. And I was like, he gets it more than I do. he's going to be fine. He's got a perspective that's fine. And that's a part of this too, is that sometimes we can trust that our kids can handle this. They can handle it, even if it doesn't go perfectly well, that they can handle it. If we're teaching them the values growing up and, team and all that, which he always kind of got that, then they can handle more than sometimes we think. And so for me, going back to that, whatever happens to him, he's got the right attitude. He wants to win real bad, and he's a competitive person, but he's not gonna, fall apart if it doesn't, work out. And he's gonna focus on what counts and what's next. And I can trust him to handle it.
I love it.
So I need to keep priming myself with that example. And it's good, doing these kinds of things are good for me because I can get to talk about it and remember it, that, that when I get off, back to what's important, what is it that he's getting out of this, she getting out of this, that's we can deal with and help their development way beyond playing, success, and winning. If you do that, the chances of playing more and being successful and winning are better, and the chances of everybody enjoying it and having a positive experience are definitely better.
Yes. I love it, Paul. Thank you.
All right. Well, hopefully that gives people something to think about, because it is not easy.
It is not easy. It is not easy being a parent. That is exactly right. Yes.
All right. Well, good. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment, tell us how great we are, even if you don't think so.
Yes. Please give us positive reinforcement.
All right.
We're fighting or fleeing. Got a mind. Hey, the stress divides me. The stress divides me.